Hey guys, so today I have the newest collection from the ILNP Studio Color line. This is the Watercolor collection. There are 4 jelly polishes here. These are available right now, so I will link the ILNP website down below and I will get into the swatches. And the Studio Color polishes come in this box, which is a little bit different than what the other ILNP polishes come in. The first polish is called Tango, and this is described as a juicy orange jelly. So these are jellies, they are sheer, they are intended to be sheer. There are a lot of nail art and layering applications to jelly polishes, but I'm just showing them on their own here. Good formula on this one, a little tiny bit uneven on the first coat, but that's nothing crazy for a jelly. The color starts to build pretty well on that second coat. It's obviously still sheer, but it evens out really nicely and the color gets a lot more saturated. And the third coat builds that up even more. You can obviously still see the nail line pretty clearly, but the color is very even and very saturated and the whole polish just looks very squishy, like a jelly. So that is 3 coats of Tango. The next polish is called Pink Slush, and this is described as a soft pink jelly. Good formula on this one as well. It's sheer also. It's pretty sheer. It's mostly even. It seems a little bit more uneven than Tango was on the first coat, but it's also more sheer and closer to my skin tone, so it's harder to tell. The color starts to build up nicely in the second coat. It gets a bit more saturated, still pretty sheer, and it also evens out pretty well. Not perfectly, but pretty well. It is completely evened out on the third coat. The color builds up nicely and it stays sheer. You can still see my nail line, but it's got that really squishy, shiny look to it. So that is 3 coats of Pink Slush. The next polish is called Malibu, and this is described as a raspberry jelly. Great formula on this one, pretty even and also pretty good color payoff right out of the gate on that first coat. Definitely more color on the first coat than the previous 2 polishes. The color builds up really nicely here on the second coat. I did come in a little bit hot and not lift my brush off the nail enough, and it like folded over and gouged out a section, so I had to go back over it a bunch to try to like spot treat that and even it back out. It's like the nail painting equivalent of just tripping over my own feet. This looked pretty good in 2 coats. I did do 3 just because I had done 3 for all the other shades. I don't really think it changed that much. I do think it got a little bit more saturated, but it's a very subtle difference between 2 and 3, so I'm not entirely sure that that whole third coat was worth the time. Almost completely opaque, very squishy and shiny with just a very little bit of subtle nail line showing. So that is 3 coats of Malibu. The last polish is called Turquoise Water, and I think I called this Turquoise Waters in the comparison section, but there's no S. And this is described as a turquoise blue jelly. I was expecting a little bit more color payoff out of this, so I was surprised at how sheer it was on the first coat. It was also, I think, the least even out of all of them. It kind of struggled a little bit on the first coat over those ridges on my nails, but it is just the first coat, so I'm not too concerned. It builds up and evens out really well on the second coat. I was just as surprised with the difference between 1 and 2 coats as I was with how sheer it was on the first coat, so it made up for that first coat entirely. It looks great in 3 coats here. Again, not a huge significant difference between 2 and 3 coats. I do think it's worth doing 3, but it's not a massive change. You get a little bit more color payoff, it evens out the rest of the way, and there's still that subtle nail line and that squishy look to it. So I would still say 3 coats, but maybe 2 or 3 depending on your preference. So that is 3 coats of Turquoise Water. So these being jellies made these comparisons kind of difficult to make. So I don't have anything for Turquoise Waters here, unfortunately. I even tried to pull out some creams because I know ILNP has been doing more creams lately, and I didn't have any creams that were comparable to this shade either. So starting out here with Tango, these were not super easy comparisons to make because these polishes are jellies. I don't have a lot of other jellies from ILNP to compare. As far as creams and jellies go, it's a fairly new thing for them, and it's hard to do with brands that put a lot of different elements into their polishes. It's just hard to find reasonable comparisons. These are what I had from ILNP that was orange or nearly orange and didn't have anything else added to it. This first one here is Summer. This is a kind of like bright orangey pink, but next to Tango, which is almost looks burnt orange in comparison. This looks very, very pink. This is Sunny Days. This is again a very peachy, almost neon pastel shade. I know none of these are close, but I'm just hoping it can kind of give you an idea of what Tango looks like if you have any of these other ones. That's kind of what I'm getting at here. This is Turbocharged. This is an insanely bright, eye-searing neon red orange, so nothing comparable there, and this is literally never going to show up on camera correctly, although it doesn't look terrible right now. And this is So Coral. This was a little bit jelly-ish, so I say like some of them were kind of jelly-ish. This was also very peachy. It looked really close to Sunny Days, actually. actually very peachy, almost neon pastel in comparison. And then this one ended up massively overloaded because I decided to put Pink Slush and Malibu together on the same wheel. Since I had so few polishes anyway, I just figured I'd put all the pinks together. So this here is Pink Slush, this is Vaporwave, and this is Malibu. So Vaporwave is a much more bright, intense neon pink. Pink Slush, this is 2-piece, and this is Malibu. Again, 2-piece is another hot pink, but it's more of like a Barbie pink shade. Still not comparable. These are also both cream shades. Pink Slush, this is Pixel Pink, and then this is Malibu. Pixel Pink is more of like a purpley pink. I always get fuchsia and magenta confused, but I think the purpley one is fuchsia. I don't know, I feel like I get it backwards, but it's like a purpley pink. And then this is Pink Slush again. This one is Cupid, and this one is Malibu. Cupid was a jelly, and it's kind of close to Malibu, but it was still seemed a bit more saturated and was a darker, slightly more red shade of pink. Malibu is going to be my favorite. I like jellies, I appreciate jellies. I know that they have a lot of nail art applications. I don't generally take advantage of nail art applications for jellies, so for me personally, I want a jelly that is just a little bit sheer, more saturated, squishy still at the end, but that the nail line is very, very subtle, that in 3 coats I can build it up to almost opaque. That's the look that I prefer, and that's what this one is. So that's why this one was my favorite. So that is the ILNP watercolor collection. Again, I will link the ILNP website down below where you guys can check those out. I will try to be a little bit faster with the next collection because I'm perpetually one ILNP collection behind and another one comes out tomorrow. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will talk to you later.